You're watching Reality Check. Every day, new disturbing details emerge about the threat to the Prime Minister of India, leading to a greater tightening of his already stringent security. The first manifestation of this came about 3 weeks ago, when an extraordinary revelation made its way to the headlines. That the police, while investigating 5 people arrested for alleged Maoist links, stumbled across a secret letter which outlined a plot to kill the Prime Minister. The 5 had been arrested for inciting inter-caste violence that erupted in Maharashtra 6 months ago. Their arrests drew widespread skepticism. But as the news of the letter surfaced, it escalated the debate to an even more frenzied pitch. But now, as the hashtags and the primetime outrage start to die out, it's time as always to look hard at the record. Does the police have the evidence to back its sensational claims? Shruti Menon travelled to Pune and Mumbai to uncover a trail of U-turns, contradictions and charges that were leaked to the media but are missing from the official record.
When the 5 so-called Urban Naxals arrests were made, the charges were not of a plot to kill the Prime Minister. The 5 were accused of inciting the violence that erupted 6 months back in Bhima Koregaon in the outskirts of Pune, where 1 person was killed and 3 were injured. Clashes triggered after Dalit groups held an annual event called the Elgar Parishad to mark the 200th anniversary of a Dalit regiment against the Marathas. The 5 arrested were Sudhir Dhable, Surendra Gadling, Shoma Sen, Rona Wilson and Mahesh Raut. And the main charges: creating enmity between 2 communities, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Both are non-bailable offences. Currently, all 5 have been sent to magisterial custody till July 4th and are lodged in Yerwada jail in Pune.
NDTV sifted through FIRs and remand reports filed by the Pune police as well as oral submissions made in the court, only to find several loopholes and contradictions right from the beginning.
In the FIR, the 5 are accused of organising and funding the Elgar Parishad that led Bhima Koregaon violence. The evidence: police claim they have recovered 80,000 rupees from Rona Wilson. But the organisers for the event are retired Justice of Supreme Court Kolse Patil and P.B. Sawant.
It is police to prove now, because for Elgar Parishad, we did not require a single paisa of anybody.
The judge claims another institute had provided all the infrastructure for the event.
MIT had their function next day morning, that is 1st January, and they had celebration of birth anniversary of Mashilkar. So they wanted ground for decoration. They requested us that we have function tomorrow morning, so can we decorate this today night? I said yes, welcome. So they decorated everything, even stage, all other things were supplied, even chairs and everything.
As questions began to mount over police evidence, 2 days after the arrest, an explosive letter made its way into the media even before it made it to the court.
Alleging a plot to kill the Prime Minister, but this too has raised multiple questions. Experts say the letter, in which one Comrade R addresses Comrade Prakash, writes about another Rajiv Gandhi type incident. Naxals would rarely use first names, unlike in this letter. Following are the examples where the first names have been used. Comrade Ashok, Amit B, Seema and Sudhir have pitched for more frequent meetings of CRPP-EC. Siraj has shown willingness to contribute for the party. Comrade Kisan and few other senior comrades have proposed concrete steps to end Modi Raj.
It's worth noting that the plot to kill PM, a serious charge, has not found any mention in the police's remand reports.
Lawyers for the accused claim the police deliberately changed the narrative.
It was like a media trial. The BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra had access to the documents, but the defense lawyers did not. So all these aspects were exposed in the 1 week that ensued. And then in the next remand date, which was the 14th, none of these letters, so-called letters, were even mentioned.
We spoke to the Pune Commissioner of Police and the Joint Commissioner of Pune City Police, but both of them refused to talk to us on this particular case, saying that it was a sensitive matter. On June 14, the second remand date, the police changed their stance once again, claiming that the accused were organizing a lecture in JNU in memory of a slain Naxal leader, Naveen Babu.
Koil Sen is the daughter of Shoma Sen.
I have absolutely no clue about this, and this is the first time when I was at the court hearing. That's not the first time when I heard it myself. So, and I don't even see a problem with if at all something like this was being organized. I don't know where the problem lies.
In fact, the core allegation that the five have links to Naxals made in the interview after interview has yet to be bolstered with evidence. The FIR and the remand documents simply say that they are members of the banned outfit CPI Maoist. Activists claim politics lies behind the allegations. In May, almost a month before the arrests were made, the RSS released its own fact-finding report, blaming the police for taking no action against Maoists who are allegedly behind the Bhima Koregaon violence, naming the accused.
The entire RSS report is based on interviews of locals in Koregaon and press cuttings.
The friends and families of the accused explain how the Naxal link may have been made.
So the main objective of this fellowship was to make sure that youngsters get a chance to work in these left-wing extremism affected areas. So our line of work normally had a very thin line between the villages and the Naxals, since there were many overlaps where you find villages also being branded as Naxals by the states. In your daily routine work life, you interact with a lot of people who could be non-state actors, as the state puts it. So there's always a sense of suspicion associated with your work, and I believe that is sort of the case that has happened with Mahesh also.
The second part of the allegation that says that the accused were involved in the Bhima Koregaon violence contradicts the report of the Pune Rural Police.
In an affidavit filed by the Pune Rural Police in the Supreme Court in February, they accused this man, Milind Ekbote, of inciting the Bhima Koregaon violence. The affidavit says, mob instigated by petitioner began stone pelting, arson and assault, distributed pamphlets that triggered violence, actively participated in rioting and public arson. 23 pending cases against him where he has breached conditions of bail. Lawyers for the five accused say there's been no action against Ekbote because of his affiliations with the BJP.
But nothing of this scale has happened against Ekbote or Bide, Guruji. Nothing has happened against them. Not even an MCOCA. There are so many persons who have demanded no UAPA against them, no MCOCA against them.
Ekbote is currently out on bail while the charge sheet is yet to be filed.
This is the office of Milind Ekbote in Pune city. We tried talking to him. We waited outside his office for several hours, visited 4 to 5 times, but he could not be traced. But right now, he is there inside his house and he has refused to speak to us.
With camera person Sanjay Mandal, Shruti Menon for NDTV.
In fact, till late this evening, we were trying to contact the top officials in Pune Police on this story, but they refused to respond. Joining us tonight on the show, we have with us Indra Jaisingh, a senior Supreme Court lawyer. Also joining us is Swaranjit Singh, former DGP of Andhra Pradesh. Swaranjit Sen, I beg your pardon, who is someone conversant with Naxal, anti-Naxal operations. Joining us in the studio, Deshratan Nigam, who is a lawyer and RSS supporter. And via Skype from Dehradun is Gurpreet Singh, a senior journalist and someone who's a friend of Shoma Sen, one of the accused. Now, Deshratna Nigam, I want to begin with you. It's very clear that any allegation, especially when it comes to do with the Prime Minister and a threat to him, is very, very serious. And we take that very seriously, which is why we wanted to send somebody down and investigate all the charges. But if you look at our report closely, and I noticed that you were watching it as it aired, there are so many contradictions that are coming across one after the other, and yet there's an attempt to already jump and judge these people and the allegations made against them, including by the RSS. In fact, I want to put on screen the cover of the organizer, which is the RSS in-house mouthpiece, and if you look at that, I mean, you can see what's going on there, exposing the Naxal mind. It's a picture of all 5 of them with this armed figure.
See, that is the investigative journalism that you also do and they have also done, and they have come up with their own version of the entire episode. Now let me tell you.
But we've come up with stuff which is very much in the public record.
I was watching very carefully.
Yeah.
First information report is with respect to the violence that has taken place at Bhima Koregaon.
Yes.
And the stage of charge sheet has not yet come in. The charge sheets have not been filed. In remand, you don't write all the reasons. As a lawyer, I can tell you, remand is only for further investigation.
You don't write all the reasons. But if you are claiming to have found a letter which says that these people were plotting to kill the PM,
let me tell you,
that's not in the remand.
Sir, let me tell you.
Then you go from saying that on one hand, you're saying that these people were accused of a riot. Then you say that actually they were accused of organizing a lecture in JNU.
See,
so I'm just saying you are making U-turns and contradictions.
There are no U-turns. U-turns can be only seen at the stage of the charge sheet.
Okay.
Various links and various issues are coming up. Now, let me tell you about the PM. A separate plot has come out from a letter that has to be investigated. It maybe a separate FIR can be lodged. Maybe also there
why would you leak it to the press unless you were trying to cover up for the fact that you may not have had enough evidence?
Anything that goes to the court, everybody comes to know about it. Even your channel also comes to know about it.
I don't think it's gone to the court, by the way.
No.
I don't think that's the whole point. Anyway,
let me tell you. And also, I also know that there is a coded language which has been used, which is yet to be deciphered by these urban Naxals, and a lot of investigation has yet to come in. So therefore, charge sheet has not been filed. Everything will come in the charge sheet.
Alleged urban Naxals.
Yes,
we can't already say they're urban Naxals. They're alleged.
Yes.
Let's just get Indra Jaising. Indra Jaising, now you were amongst those who came out very strongly at the time of these arrests, but Deshratna Nigam is saying that the police may have evidence which has not yet been released. So just as they shouldn't, as in the RSS, the BJP shouldn't jump to label them, should we also not in haste come forward to defend them?
You know, before I answer that question, I would like to ask your guest if he can give us a definition of who is an quote-unquote urban Naxal. For example, would he say that lawyers like me or like Surendra Getling, who has been arrested, is quote-unquote an urban Naxal? We'd like to know, because this is a word which has been invented by the BJP. It doesn't find place in any law. It's not any offense either under the Indian Penal Code or any other law, including the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So it's a bit difficult to respond to allegations like this.
Okay, I'll
Secondly,
come to that.
in answer to your question, we are not demanding...
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Jaising.
Yeah, so it is not, in answer to your question, it is not as if we are demanding that the information be released to the general public. What we do, however, demand is that the information be made available at the earliest to the judge. Now, please remember that this is a case in which a court of law thrice refused a warrant to raid the premises of Surendra Getling. And ultimately, the raid was conducted by the police without a warrant. What does this tell you? It tells you that the extent of disclosures made to the judge do not satisfy the threshold for making a raid. So the direct answer to your question is they are duty bound to disclose this information to the judge.
Right.
You have to remember that at the outset the FIR lodged was under section 153A of the Indian Penal Code and various other ordinary offences under the Indian Penal Code.
Yes.
It's only on the day of the arrest that they added Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, and in my opinion these offences are added only to ensure that the person is denied bail.
Right.
Because these are draconian laws under which you get denied bail.
Okay,
There's
ma'am,
no
let
other
me-
reason to
Fair-
add these
fair enough.
offences at a much, much later stage.
Okay, let me just.
But that's a presumption, madam.
Okay,
That's a
let's
presumption
just-
you are making.
I'll come back to you in a second. Let me bring in Swaranjit Sen, former DGP Andhra Pradesh. Again, sir, with all your experience, looking at some of the pointers that came out in our report, in our on-ground investigation, do you think that there are concerns, especially when the police approach these sensitive cases where there is a certain amount of ambiguity between people who may have affiliations with groups? They may not be openly supportive of the Naxal cause, they may have affiliations with groups which might be more indirectly linked. And do you think there's a concern there about how you police and investigate those cases?
Well, Srinivasan, let me first put it this way, that I do agree to a large extent with what Ms. Jaising has said. Now, what is this urban Naxal? Has it been defined anywhere? You know, this is a typical system by which certain bureaucrats enhance their position by giving these fancy names, like if you remember Red Corridor, and independent area, you know, things like this. So is it one of those things? Number one. Number two, is the intelligence falling for the psychological warfare that the Naxals want to the public to be exposed to? You see, the letter saying that they wanted to attack the Prime Minister, I don't know, it may have been just a letter to impress their own rank and file, and all of us are falling for it. However,
do you think that
we cannot take it lightly. I'm not saying that we should take it.
Do you, as someone familiar with the sort of manner in which
no, I don't feel convinced.
Do you think that seems does it seem credible?
No, I really don't. No, I really don't feel convinced. You see, they're trying to bite. They're trying to show their rank and file.
Okay.
That they can bite much bigger, and that's not what they can chew. They're trying to give an impression that they're so big that they can, have a plot to assassinate the Prime Minister. I don't think they have the capability or the desire. It is more to impress their own rank and file, and that is what the intelligence agencies have fallen for.
It's still something, though, to be investigated. But Gurveer Singh, now,
yes,
Shoma Sen, any substance at all in the allegation that she was in some way affiliated to the Naxal cause?
See, already it's been pointed out. Can you hear me, Vasu?
Yes, Gurveer, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, see, Shoma Sen was a fellow student with me in Elphinstone College. We worked together on a lot of projects on civil liberties and democratic rights. She has never been of what, as people are asking, what is a Naxalite? I mean, if you say that it's indulging in armed struggle, in going to forests, in violence, Shoma Sen, I speak to her at least once a month. I know she's a dedicated teacher. She was the head of department of Nagpur University. She has done a lot of seminal work on women's rights. She's done a lot of seminal work in tribal rights. And I know her from a very close range, from her college days till she has become head of department in Nagpur.
Okay, but Gurveer, you're saying that she does not in any way endorse the use of violence. Is that what you're saying?
She does not endorse violence.
Okay.
She endorses standing up for civil liberties and democratic rights. And in this case, you've heard clips of Justice Kolse Patil.
Yes.
She was sitting in Nagpur. She was not even there at the Elgar Parishad rally. Surendra Gadling was not there at the Elgar Parishad rally. They had nothing to do with the organizing. You pick up people who have nothing to do with that organizing.
Was she though a member?
If you are talking of investigation before a FIR is filed, the minimum you can do, you've got judges like P.B. Sawant, a Supreme Court retired judge. You can ask him.
Okay, but was she?
Your investigation should extend to asking the organizers of the Elgar Parishad.
Okay, Gurbi, just one question though. Was she? I understand that you say her position is not, she doesn't subscribe to violence, but was she a member of the CPML?
She was a member, or she has been a member of the Committee for Protection of Democratic Rights, which is certainly not an Naxalite organization, which had, the founder was Vijay Tendulkar.
Right.
The founder of CPDR, let me remind you, in 1977, post-emergency, was the great playwright Vijay Tendulkar.
Okay, let me come back to, understood, let me come back to Deshratan Nigam, that, the other big contradiction here, which again we pointed out in Shruti's report, is that you have two different FIRs accusing two different sets of people for the same riot. So the Pune police is saying it's these 5 people, and then the Pune rural police is saying it's Milind Ekbote. So that is the biggest contradiction. And Milind Ekbote is out on bail. None of these serious charges have been brought against him.
The fact is...
So again, the very clear sort of perception is that this is just nothing but politics.
No, I don't think so.
It's a BJP government in Maharashtra. It's an attempt to try and go after only one side and spare the other.
No. See, the fact remains that the bail has been... Just please hold on.
Gurpreet, let him respond. Yes.
Yeah.
The bail has been given by the court, so you can't, bring politics in here. The other side of the story.
Politics because of the fact that, firstly, why are the two police forces coming up with two completely different versions?
See, initially they had...
why is Mr. Ekbote not facing, if he's accused of inciting riots, why does he not face any of these charges?
No, the fact is, he's on bail, the charge sheet would also be filed in his case. It is not that it will not be filed, unless and until the higher court sets aside the FIR and everything. Now, secondly, the charge sheet has not also been filed in this case. I think Indra Jaising, being a lawyer, should know that the right time to bring all the evidence and the documents is at the time of charge sheet before the court.
Okay,
so therefore, you
we are very short on time. Let Indra Jaising respond to that.
And therefore, all the 3 panelists have presumptions that they are innocent.
Okay.
So that presumption would lie with them. I agree with the panel that unless until they are proven guilty by the court.
We are very short on time.
That prosecution has to take place.
Short on time, Indra Jaising.
This is a very technical kind of defense.
I'm sorry. I think. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Your panelist doesn't know the law. I suspect he's not a lawyer. The presumption
I'm sorry, madam. Let's not be personal about it.
Under the unlawful activities prevention. Please allow me to finish. Please allow me to finish. That presumption does not apply when you are arrested under the Prevention of Unlawful Activities Act. The Act indeed says that the burden is on me to prove that I'm innocent, and this is the reason why bail is not granted. Remember also the use of the word preventive, okay? So it means an act which is intended to prevent me from committing yet another crime. Now, one more thing that we need to understand, had they not invoked that act, these people would have been out on bail. And yes, my friend is right, the evidence would have come on record along with the charge sheet.
Okay.
But I explained to you the problem here. It is the invocation of the Prevention of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act.
Yes.
So the entire logic that your panelist is presenting does not apply over here.
Okay, madam, we are out of time.
10 seconds.
We're out of time, Ms. Jaising.
What are we?
We're completely out of time. Deshratan Nigam, I promise you we'll come back. We will look more closely at this story.
I have a lot to say on this.
I'm sure you do, and so do we. There are many more details still emerging. Thank you so much for watching Reality Check. That's all the time we have. Good night.